The agency began protecting the president full-time after President McKinley, who did not have Secret Service protection, was assassinated in 1901. But politicians will always insist on having contact with their constituents, and the Secret Service has to adjust.
In the final analysis, it may come down to that agent standing next to the president who has to react to him. It's what kept us up at night, worrying about how will I react? Will I do the right thing?
Being in the Secret Service is about being paranoid, about making just one mistake that can lose the president. But underneath the sunglasses are human beings.
I think the pressures on agents are multidimensional. I thought about it all the time. I mean, 24 hours a day, you were sort of thinking about it, worrying.
Decisions are made in an instant.
I was a young agent. We were leaving an event heading to Newark Airport. We were going through a small town, little motorcade. I looked up ahead and noticed standing a block or so ahead of us was a person holding a weapon in a combat position, pointing it toward the street. I began to react. I raised the weapon. This was going to be deadly force. This was an Uzi submachine gun, 9mm submachine gun. I was a very good shot. And I noticed in just a flash second that it was a red gun. And something triggered in my own mind that this wasn't natural. I hesitated. I didn't pull the trigger. As we got close, I could see that it was a water pistol. This turned out to be a 15-year-old boy who did it on a dare. Almost lost his life in the process.
The protection of the president is only as good as the highly trained agents who stay close.
I've always felt, when I was responsible for the president, that I wanted to be at least an arm's length of him in public.
In Beltsville, Maryland, the Secret Service strategies are drilled into the presidential detail at a high-security training complex, running scenarios of an attack on the president. Preparing for that one split second of crisis and danger that could occur at any time. And the Secret Service techniques are now used throughout the high-level protection industry.
The basic strategy has always been, in the Secret Service, what we call cover and evacuate. Cover him, get him in the car as quickly as possible, and get him out of there.
But how do these techniques work in real life? Secret Service strategies are flawless in training, and they have been tested to the limit in real assassination attempts. March 30th, 1981. John Hinckley was a 25-year-old with romantic delusions, convinced that actress Jodie Foster would be impressed if he killed the president. Outside the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C., Hinckley caught up with his target.
And I don't think there was a better demonstration of how that training worked than the assassination attempt against President Reagan. Jerry Parr and Ray Shattuck, as soon as that first shot goes off, they grab the president and they throw him into the car.
Agent Tim McCarthy shielded Reagan with his body, taking a bullet in the process. Within moments, the limo sped away from a scene of chaos. Hinckley was buried under a mountain of Secret Service agents. Agent McCarthy, Press Secretary James Brady, and D.C. policeman Thomas Delahanty lay on the sidewalk, severely injured. All three survived, but Brady had permanent brain damage.
The old saying that, Secret Service agent will take a bullet for the president. If you look at the Reagan assassination, Tim McCarthy did do that, but he was trained to do that as well, and his heroic actions demonstrate that.
Although the agents around the president reacted heroically, many mistakes had been made. The Secret Service relies on a perimeter system of protection. The outer is a preliminary check by local police. The middle has Secret Service agents searching for weapons.
And then there's the inner perimeter, and that's the final defense. It's the agents around the president.
Hinckley had penetrated 2 of the perimeters and fired at least 5 shots at point-blank range. The Secret Service had been trying for years to get metal detectors to screen for weapons. They got authorization days later. The perimeters were tightened, and the idea of an open arrival and departure ended after the attempt against President Reagan.
We used to take the president in always in through the loading docks of hotels, never through the lobby. And we could clear the whole loading dock. And I remember Reagan getting out of the car one day at a hotel and turned and said, you know, if I ever got out of the car and didn't smell garbage, I was thinking I was at the wrong place, you know. I mean, he made a joke out of it.
Agents studied film of incidents around the world, like the assassination of Egyptian President Anwar Sadat in 1981. And there were other changes. Counter-snipers are now placed on rooftops around the outer perimeter, and the president's route is more carefully advanced. Although they may be vigilant, agents keep the space around the president calm. One method is to keep their weapons hidden. In fact, we've only seen them draw their guns in public a few times. Once was during the assassination attempt on President Ronald Reagan. An agent pulled an Uzi submachine gun out of a briefcase. Uzis have a tendency to spray their shots, and if used, could endanger bystanders. The Secret Service has since switched to the very accurate FN P90 submachine gun.
One of the advantages of the P90, as you can see, is it's very controllable.
But the P90 has another advantage. It fires very light 5.7 by 28 millimeter ammunition, especially developed to pierce body armor. In 1997, a bank robbery in Los Angeles saw body-armored gunmen subduing the police and roaming the streets at will.
So that type of scenario is a nightmare for the Secret Service.
It took over 200 police to subdue the two robbers. The Secret Service realized they had to be able to strike back. The P90 is the scientific solution to body armor. Another escalation in the arms race between the Secret Service and potential assassins. But most of the agents around the president are carrying the workhorse of the Secret Service, the Sig Sauer P229 automatic pistol. Made in New Hampshire, the P229 comes from the marriage of Swiss and German arms makers. The science is in the tolerances, which can be as fine as 1/10,000th of an inch. And before each P229 leaves the factory, the weapon is test-fired repeatedly. It must be perfectly reliable.
The gun business is a very conservative business. Our customers, such as the Secret Service, will not want to touch a system that hasn't been proven for many years.
But at close range, deadly force is not the only option available. New technology provides a non-lethal alternative. It is made by a small independent company in Hartford, Connecticut. Conceived and founded by Titus Kazaza. The Laser Dazzler can temporarily block an assailant's vision and has been used in Iraq to stop suspicious vehicles without having to fire on them. Lasers are one color only. The light is so focused it can be used in eye surgery, and so powerful it can cut steel. Used carefully by trained agents, laser dazzlers could shield a president behind a green wall with minimum risk to the potential threat or innocent bystanders. But while the laser dazzler can neutralize a sniper up to even a few hundred yards, the president is still vulnerable at great distance. Never more than when he is in the air, and the danger is attacked by a weapon we created, the Stinger missile. It is the iconic image of the president striding across the White House lawn to jump into Marine One. The Black Hawk helicopters in use now were introduced in 1979. They're a bargain at about $15 million each.
To me, the most interesting thing about Marine One is it's a helicopter, and you can talk in a whisper on the helicopter and still be heard.
The problem with a helicopter is that it can be shot down relatively easily, and the Black Hawk, workhorse of American ground forces, has been numerous times.